Hai Sobat Samuel, berikut ini kami tunjukkan cara berinvestasi menggunakan aplikasi Star Mobile. Caranya sangat praktis dan tentunya mudah. Mari kita simak bersama-sama. Pertama-tama, unduh atau download aplikasi Star pada smartphone Anda. Tentu saja bisa melalui Google Play Store untuk Android dan juga App Store untuk iPhone. Setelah terdownload, buka aplikasi Star dan kemudian klik register online. Untuk saat ini, registrasi online hanya untuk WNI yang sudah memiliki iktp saja ya. Lalu Sobat Samuel dapat melengkapi data-data pribadi Anda sesuai dengan iktp tersebut. Dalam proses pembukaan rekening online ini, Sobat Samuel dapat memilih untuk menggunakan rekening dana nasabah atau RDN di BCA atau BRI, sesuai dengan rekening bank yang sudah Anda miliki. Untuk pemilik rekening bank lain, Anda dapat membuka rekening Star Samuel Sekuritas melalui website atau offline. Untuk kode referral, Sobat Samuel bisa mengisinya dengan nama teman atau kerabat yang menyarankan aplikasi Star kepada Anda. Kalau tidak ada yang menyarankan atau merefer, kode tersebut dapat dikosongkan saja. Setelah mengisi data nomor telepon dan juga email, kode OTP akan otomatis dikirimkan ke email Anda, sehingga Anda perlu memasukkan kode OTP yang tertera pada email tersebut di aplikasi Star. Setelah melakukan verifikasi OTP tersebut, Sobat Samuel dapat melanjutkan mengisi data diri sesuai dengan iktp. Oh iya, Sobat Samuel yang belum memiliki NPWP masih tetap dapat membuka rekening Star dengan cara mengisinya di kolom NPWP dengan angka 0, yaitu sebanyak 15 kali. Selesai melengkapi data pribadi, pilih upload dokumen di menu bar bawah, kemudian upload foto iktp, foto Anda bersama iktp, dan juga foto tanda tangan Anda di atas kertas putih polos ya. Setelah semua data diinput, tunggu proses verifikasi data dan pengaktifan akun serta RDN dengan waktu tunggu maksimal 1 kali 24 jam ya selama hari kerja. Jika waktu tunggu tersebut terlewat, Sobat Samuel dapat mengecek email secara berkala karena kemungkinan ada kekurangan data atau ada kesalahan upload dokumen. Tentunya, tim Star Samuel Sekuritas akan menghubungi Anda terkait kekurangan data atau ada kesalahan proses melalui email atau telepon. Jika data sudah diverifikasi dan lengkap, registrasi akan diproses yang ditandai dengan adanya email pre-activation, berisikan client code dan juga password login. Dengan memasukkan keduanya di login akun, Anda sudah bisa melihat market info di aplikasi Star. Namun, untuk mulai melakukan trading, Sobat Samuel harus menunggu proses pembuatan RDN atau rekening dana nasabah. Setelah proses pembuatan RDN selesai, akan ada email masuk, dan Anda harus transfer ke nomor rekening yang sudah tertera di email ya Sobat semua, sebagai syarat pengaktifan rekening tersebut. Anda bisa transfer dengan jumlah berapapun, karena kami tidak membatasi jumlah minimal untuk pengaktifan rekeningnya. Setelah deposit berhasil, tunggu email selanjutnya ya, untuk mendapatkan PIN trading. Dan setelah mendapatkan PIN trading, maka Sobat Samuel bisa langsung mulai ikut trading di aplikasi Star. Bagaimana? Mudah dan cepat kan? Selamat mulai perjalanan investasi ya Sobat Samuel bersama Star. Jangan lupa ya untuk follow YouTube, Instagram, Clubhouse, dan Telegram kita untuk tidak ketinggalan berbagai update dari Samuel Sekuritas Indonesia. Salam cuan! Halo Sobat-Sobat Samuel, sekarang Sobat Samuel sudah bisa pesan IPO langsung dari aplikasi Star Mobile loh. Bagaimana sih caranya? Yuk simak video tutorial ini. Pertama-tama, masuk ke aplikasi Star Mobile. Lalu, pilih menu Bold dan Post di bawah dan isi PIN trading. Klik tombol burger di sisi kiri, lalu pilih menu eIPO, dan kemudian pilih submenu eIPO. Pada halaman ini, kamu bisa melihat berbagai pilihan saham yang ada dalam proses IPO, mulai dari book building, public offering, dan juga listed. Pada segmen public offering, kamu bisa memilih saham IPO yang dapat dipesan. Pilih salah satu saham IPO yang ingin kamu pesan, dan klik order pada saham IPO tersebut. Setelah detailnya terbuka, scroll ke bawah, dan klik input eIPO. Setelah halaman pernyataan minat pemesanan terbuka, klik checkbox pernyataan persetujuan, syarat dan ketentuan, lalu klik setuju dan lanjutkan. Masukkan lot yang ingin dipesan, dan pastikan dana RDN tersedia, lalu klik submit. Bila pemesanan IPO berhasil, kamu akan masuk pada halaman terima kasih yang menandakan bahwa transaksimu sudah selesai. Untuk melihat status pesanan saham IPO pada aplikasi Star Mobile, klik menu Buy dan Post, klik tombol burger, lalu pilih menu e-IPO, dan kemudian pilih submenu e-IPO status. Kamu dapat cek apakah pemesanan sahammu sudah masuk pada halaman tersebut untuk memastikan keberhasilan transaksimu. Nikmati euforia dengan Star Mobile. Salam cuan!
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this earnings call, the second quarter of 2022. Of course, we have here today David, Elliott, Ulmer, and also Priyadarshi, Anand from PT MD Pictures or Film. So Film actually has posted their second quarter earnings, which is actually surpasses our initial forecast, I think around 90%. And Film also posted stellar growth. Around 200% year-on-year growth for net profit, and I think those can be attributed to, I think most of the audiences know to KKN di Desa Penari, and I think most of you has also watched the film. So yeah, we have today an exciting earnings call. So we're going to talk about the updates from the company with the director, from David, and also we're going to talk about some updates from the financials from Anand. And also after that, we're going to have a technical analysis review by our technical analyst, Pak William Mahmudi, and then we're going to open for the Q&A. Okay, so without further ado, I will give the floor right away to David and also Anand. David and Anand, the floor is yours.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all joining today. As for us, it said we've had a very nice quarter, very nice first half. I'm going to talk a little bit about the business side of it, some of the things that contributed to making that happen, and then allow Anand to go in and dive deeper in our numbers. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pull up some slides that talk about this. Most of you know about MD Pictures, of course. I wanted to, first of all, express some background on what is our value. How does one value a company in the media business? And it's important to understand that we don't have a lot of big equipment. We don't have broadcast equipment. We don't have antennas and satellite dishes like a TV company would. We are a content company. And so our asset is our content. And up until this date, we have now generated a large library of movies. We have over 160 top movies, Indonesian, of course. We've sold now over 75 million tickets and climbing in our number of years as a movie company. We also have over 10,000 hours of top Cinetrons and TV programs, a number of original series that have been appearing online. We've released both to cinema and to online customers. So that when you add up all of this content, I think what's important to realize is that none of this really shows up on our books like it would if we were a real estate company, for example. This shows up as content we've created. We have phenomenal numbers in ticket sales and in revenue, but the asset itself gets depreciated very quickly off of our books, and it doesn't appear on a balance sheet like you would in another kind of company. And that's something just to realize and keep in your minds when you're looking at what's the valuation for a company like MD Pictures. In the past couple of quarters, we have generated a lot of new content. Online streaming has taken off. And if you had looked at MD Pictures back in 2017, 2018, you would have seen a very successful company that released movies into the cinema. But today, all of these logos you see on the screen below are our customers in addition to cinema. Online has exploded in Indonesia. We are now the leading producer of movies for the cinema, and we're the leading producer of movies for online and TV shows for online. Every one of these logos, from Netflix to video, from Disney to WeTV, are our customers. We supply them all. And there's a new logo that I've just placed onto this slide, which is in the bottom left corner. That's Amazon Prime Video. Amazon has just stepped into Indonesia, and we've just closed our first bit of business with Amazon. And we are now supplying everyone. I'm happy to say that Amazon is one of our new customers. This is what's happened online over the last couple of years. In 2019, the number of online subscribers was somewhere around 3 to 4 million. It doubled in 2020. It doubled again in 2021. It's forecast to hit over 20 million subscribers in 2022. And that is a really interesting number, because that means that now online video is bigger than the pay TV business in Indonesia. Pay TV's been here forever, and now it's never grown past about 10%, about 10 million subscribers, maybe 10 or 12. We're now passing that in. These are people that are paying monthly for online video services. That was over $725 million US dollars in subscription revenue last year, and climbing. And it should be noted, I mean, MD Pictures, of course, benefits from this. We are the largest supplier of online content. So when you see Disney plus Hotstar here with 30% market share in subscriptions, you have to realize that the top viewed content on Disney plus Hotstar in Indonesia came from MD Pictures. Over 18 full-length feature films. There's a series in production going to be released later this year. These are all coming from MD. When you look at WeTV, it only shows a 3% market share in subscribers. Well, that's because WeTV is primarily not a subscription service. 97% of its customers are watching for free, and they're watching advertising. So WeTV is an ad-supported video service. And MD is providing the most watched content on WeTV. Over 70% of WeTV's viewers on their free service have tuned in to be able to watch MD content. One moment, please. Thank you. So this online explosion of 20 million subscribers, there's over 50 or 60 million watching online services for free, have been a major growth factor for MD Pictures, where in 2019, we were 100% distributing to the movie theaters, to the cinema business. In 2020, the whole world changed when the cinema closed down in March of 2020. 2021, we were almost 100% supplying distribution through online. And now, I'm happy to say in 2022, things are starting to balance out. We are strong in the cinema, we're strong on online, and that really represents the future. We've released TV shows in the past that were number one on Trans TV or MNC. But now our TV shows are showing online, and they're being shown globally. We had over 15 million views in a single day with Leong and Putus. And it hit number one across the world in countries that have never seen Indonesian content, like in Belgium and Australia and Japan and France. When we came back into the cinema, 2021, we released a movie on the last day of 2021, well, December 30th. And that hit number one for the entire year. We were a little cautious, of course, We had not released a movie for a whole year. It did very well. And we said, let's try again. Put out a movie in the first quarter of 2022, and it blew all past box office expectations. Over 2.2 million tickets. That's what we call a blockbuster. And we thought, well, the cinema is coming back. Again, we've been cautious, but we started to release movies that we had in our back room that we had been holding on to for 2 years, waiting for the cinema. And then KKN hit. KKN, di Desa Penari, has set every record you can imagine for the box office. It's the largest selling, highest grossing Indonesian film in history. And it was setting records in Malaysia and Singapore. This is really interesting. This is Singapore on the opening weekend of KKN. It opened the same time as Marvel's big blockbuster Doctor Strange. And you can see Doctor Strange had 4 showings in a single day. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 showings in one day. And that's purely because of demand. People were going into the movie theaters and wanting to see KKN. The lines were wrapped around the block. And so the movie theaters just kept opening screens to show. So not only is KKN on our books for this half as the largest selling Indonesian film of all time, it's also beat almost every single Hollywood movie in Indonesia. All but one. I'll have to say Avengers Endgame still holds number 1. But KKN has beat Spider-Man, Avatar, Titanic, and all prior Marvel shows. So yes, this contributes to a very successful quarter for us. But I think it's really important to know, it's not a one-hit wonder. We are not banking our entire revenue on a single movie. MD has always shown consistency. And if you look at the first half of this year, MD has over 58% market share in the cinema for the top 15 movies. It's not one movie. It's not 2 movies. We have 3 movies in the top 5, 4 movies in the top 15, and we intend to keep that up. Luckily, it's been going really well for us. But Ivana is in the theaters right now. This says 2.5 million. It's already at 2.7 million. We might hit 3 million for it. It's climbing. What this tells me is not only is MD producing content and movies that people want to watch, but we're maintaining some strength that is important to point out. I get this question a lot about who's your competition? Well, in the movie business and partially in the TV business for online, all of these studios you see listed, these production houses you see listed, yeah, they compete with MD. Hitmaker, Falcon Pictures, Star Vision. Yeah, these companies produce great content. Some of them are producing phenomenal movies and some series. But here's the difference. When we produced 4 movies in the top 15, no other studio produced more than 1. When we've got, I think, 7 series in production right now. Other studios can produce maybe 1 or 2, possibly 3. We've been the only studio that can consistently produce movies and TV shows at volume and in high quality. You put that together and it makes for a very bright future for us and an amazing first half of 2022. I'm going to turn here and turn this over to Anand. This is our earnings for the first half. And I'll just point out 2 top-level observations. One is that our revenue for the first half of 2022 is higher than the full year revenue of almost any year we've ever had in our history. It's close to 2018, which was our highest revenue. But our profit for the first half is higher than the profits for all prior years as well. This is showing that we have strength in the movie theater and we have strength online. Our expectation is that will continue. We have so much more to come in the rest of this year. Okay, I'm going to go on mute and allow Anand to speak about anything else you wish to share about our earnings.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for the update on the performance. So thanks for having us for the call. Just to update you on the financial performance, it is basically whatever Dave has told, this is reflected in terms of number, if you see, right? So in the first half of 2022, how the numbers looks like, it is basically surpass what we have done in 2021, full year. The top line is around 274 million, and if we talk about the bottom line, it is basically 123 million in total, right? So if you go through the cash flow perspective also, the cash flow has been the first half of the years, it is around 166 million, which is coming from the operational cash flow, contributing towards the business. And the other cash flow that is important that happened in the first half of 2022 was we also sold a part of a treasury share which was held by the company, which was around 1.54% of the overall company shares, which we basically encashed in the second half of 2022, which actually generated a overall cash to the company. So in a balanced perspective, I would say that the overall position of the company, we are pretty fully loaded with cash, total around 391 million. We don't have any external debts. That, in short, I would say that the company is a debt-free company. And in terms of other positions, basically we are very much in a solid state position in terms of the performance as well. So in short, I would say our trend has been, if you see the trend in terms of performance, it is smoothly going up since 2021, and it is we are able to catch up that trend on a quarter-to-quarter basis, and we are expecting the trend should similarly we'll catch up in the next third quarter and the fourth quarter to end up the 2022 in a very great year for Andy. Yeah, I think that's all in short. If any question, I will be happy to take up.
Okay, so thank you, Anand and Dave, for the lovely presentation, actually, and that actually gives us a well-rounded picture of what MD Pictures have been doing in the first half of 2022. So before we go to the Q&A, I think we can go to the technical review first from our technical analyst, Pak William Mahmudi. So William, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Farras. Let me open my slide before. I want to show you how it works in technical analysis. Okay, wait. Let me share my screen. Hope it's clear now. Okay, is it clear? Can you all see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we'll just continue now. Before here, I see how it goes here. Oh, wait, do you want me to talk in English or Indonesian, Farras?
I think for the technical review, you can do it in Indonesia.
Alright, no problem. Saya lanjut dengan bahasa Indonesia saja, gitu. Untuk segi IHSG-nya kita memang belajar dalam pola double bottom. Sejak kita melihat IHSG itu indeks lanjut rally. Nah, kita melihat di sini untuk indeks kita sebenarnya sudah mau nutup gap di 7150. Ini sebagai resisten yang memang menahan pergerakan IHSG. Double bottom-nya ini sebenarnya lebih tinggi lagi kalau kita lihat neckline di 7.300. Biasanya sih kalau untuk bulan Agustus saya mau lihat data selama 5 tahun terakhir kecenderungan positif itu ada. Nah, masalahnya selama kita belum bisa nutup gap, kemungkinan untuk indeks yang tertahan iya, dan kalau ini jatuh berarti kita kemungkinan akan uji level paling nggak antara 920 sampai 7.000 ini. Nah, intinya kita harus hati-hati. Saat ini memang kita masih rally. Hari ini sempat kita turun ke bawah, tapi pas sesi 2 itu sedikit diangkat naik. Saya ngelihat di sini hubungannya dengan film. Sebenarnya ini film adalah salah satu saham performa terbaik ya di IHSG kita. kita ngelihat itu sepanjang 2018 sampai 2022, film untuk pola running bottom cukup besar. Apalagi sejak dia breakout resistance 600, kita ngelihat film terus bentuk all time high. Kita ngelihat di sini, film hari ini baru saja break dari angka bulat 3.000. Target Fibonacci extension kita nunjukin level kira-kira 2.688 extension adalah kira-kira 4.000 target pertama kita. Dan target kedua kita menggunakan Fibonacci extension 4.236, ini akan memberikan hasil kurang lebih 6.400. Jadi ini target untuk big picture film itu sangat jauh ya. Kita nggak akan bicara untuk all time high, apalagi karena kita baru breakout dari rounding bottom selama 2-3 tahun terakhir. Tapi itu untuk big picture. Gimana untuk pergerakan film yang lebih pendek time frame-nya? Untuk daily picture, ya, kita melihat ini daily chart-nya. Hari ini film sudah kembali all time high. Dan kalau kita ingat, sejak akhir first half 2022, strong rally yang terbentuk pada film ini cukup kuat, signifikan. Bahkan sejak Juli ini, kita melihat pergerakan film itu semakin agresif. Dimana setelah breakout dari all time high 3.000 ini, kita melihat agresif uptrend line menunjukkan target pertama 3.200, atau target kedua 3.500, selama uptrend ini nggak patah. Kalaupun uptrend line ini patah, saya masih terlalu khawatir, karena uptrend line yang lebih konservatif dari bulan Mei sampai Agustus ini menunjukkan bahwa film ini memang bullish bias. Satu lagi yang menarik sini adalah sebenarnya return film year to date itu adalah salah satu investasi yang sangat menguntungkan untuk tahun 2022. Kita melihat return year to date-nya sudah mencapai angka 240%. Dan ini sangat jauh di atas return IHSG yang hanya 6% saja. Bahkan kalau dibandingkan saham-saham sektor seperti MNC atau SMA, nah ini kita lihat MNC hanya 5%, SMA bahkan minus 5%. Ini bahkan underperform dari IHSG. Artinya, saya percaya kalau dari segi teknikal saja, investasi di film memang sangat-sangat profitable. Ya, demikian update secara teknikal. Oh ya, film ini juga ada di Superstar kami ya. Jadi kawan-kawan, sobat-sobat sama semua yang juga masih nonton sini, selalu pastikan terus Superstar kita. Film ini adalah salah satu performa kita yang menunjukkan di mana return kita bahkan sudah jauh di atas rata-rata IHSG. Oke, saya kembalikan ke Farras. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, William, for the outstanding technical update. So yeah, we're going to enter the Q&A. And before we go to the questions from the floor, I have actually several questions for myself, for David and also Anand. So for my end, David, I see that your margin is actually expanding in the second quarter. I think it's well above 50%. Can you explain to us why is this margin expanding by such a large number?
Sure. Actually, it's a very easy question. We have two different lines of business in general. We've got the cinema business and we've got the OTT business. Let's talk OTT business first. Is stable, predictable, and we know what our margin is when we sell into OTT. We target 50% gross margin in OTT. We can't ask for more than that, because then it puts us at a competitive disadvantage. People can underbid us for creation of content. And we don't want less than that, because that's just merely the cost of doing business. So that we've always targeted 50, and it's not going to fluctuate much from that. The movie business, however, the cinema business, is like Las Vegas sometimes. When it has the potential of jackpots. It has the potential of huge margins when we have a massive movie. When the movies are on an average doing okay, then we float down again to about 50-point margin. But as you saw in the presentation, we have 3 big movies out in the first half. And those margins are exceptional. So it gives us a lot of leeway. Yes, we end up with larger margins because the movies are a success. We would love that to continue, but it's something we really cannot predict. It's really difficult to say that a movie is going to be a number 1 or number 2 movie in the box office. Even Disney, Sony, Universal, Time Warner can't do that. So there's your answer. During a period when we have massive blockbusters in the cinema, we'll have huge margins. When it's back down to a regular run rate in the cinema, we'll have around 50-point margin, maybe a little higher.
Okay, thank you for the answer. And also another questions from me is that so we see that in your first half, I think for the second quarter, your growth is actually outstanding because of KKN, right? So I just want to ask, is this type of KKN movie is going to be produced, or is it in your projection, is this going to be keep producing like this in the next, let's say in the next half or in the next year?
I wish we could say that. KKN is an anomaly. It's a massive hit. I mean, how many biggest movies of all time can you release? But let's not discount the fact that both Kukira Karuma and Ivana are big blockbusters. These have huge ROI. That's more typical. But also, if you look back into our best years, we had 2, maybe 3 blockbusters in the entire year. And that generated our revenue back in 2018, 2019. No more than 2 or 3 in a year that were somewhere around 2 million or just 2 million plus in ticket sales. This year, we already have 3, and we have some more movies coming. I cannot give you a forecast of how many tickets are going to be sold. I think it's exceedingly rare that we will have 9,200,000 tickets sold on a single movie. But we are absolutely planning on releasing blockbusters, one after another after another. We hope to continue that streak. We've decided that instead of trying to go for quantity in cinema release, we're going to go for quality. You won't see us releasing 25 movies in a year anymore. We're going to target a good solid 10 or 12 movies a year that are all hopefully in the blockbuster status. That's our objective anyways, but you can never predict. We shore that up by having a really healthy OTT business where we have predictable margins, predictable revenue. And the mix of the two should continue to allow us to grow at rates that you would expect.
Just to add, Farras and Williams, your previous question on the margin, when you're talking about margins at a way above 35%. The second question, basically, you're talking is basically can be able to carry over those margins and all, right? So let's see a bit of a background of MD. If you see the historical number of MD, we have never been below, our gross margin has never been below 50%, even in the tough of the period, except for the 2020 when the bioscope was almost closed, right? So if you see the historically since this, even before the listing started, MD pictures basically gross margin never go very low. So that shows that historically we know the key, how to keep the margin up by releasing a mix of the content in the bioscope, basically a very good content, an average content, and all those that will continue. So this margin will hold over in the coming years. And basically on the top line, basically the trend we will like to continue. How we will fulfill the trend? Of course, we will release some mix of content in the coming next whatever period is left. I think one of them we have already announced it, which is going to come out in September, a comedy movie. So basically we'll continue that way and we'll keep the margin basically because we're always maintaining that historically. So you can be assured of that we'll continue to maintain that margin. And the top line, of course, with all those contribution coming back with all our content, the top line is going to fly.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Anand and Dave. So I have actually one last question from my end. A lot of investors has asked me, are you going to go back to the way you were, focusing on the cinema, or going forward, are you still going to be focusing a lot more on the digital, or is it going to be, a 50-50 mix? So what is your next plan, for the upcoming year?
From a release perspective, I think it's difficult to say what the mix is. As you can see, we have a big movie period. We are not under as much pressure to release online. We can take our time. We have no issue with cash flow. We actually have a number of films that have been completed and a number of films that are close to being completed already in our hands. We have many online series in production that will be released over some period of time. And we are deciding almost on a month-to-month basis when to release what. Our intention is to maintain a healthy growth. But more importantly, we want to fully monetize every piece of content that we make. So in the past, you might have seen here, I think 2019 is a good example. We put out 17 films that we produced, and we co-produced another 6 or 7 films. So that's like 25 films in the cinema. That's really too many. I think what we learned from that is that we were competing with our own content. And this year, you're seeing a very deliberate, very strategic release. We're allowing films to sit in the cinema for a long time and just squeeze the revenue out of them. And then what you don't see is in the back room, what we're doing to license to OTT, where we have a good mix of library and new content going to OTT customers. So we are maximizing our monetization of our library. We are putting and really timing our releases online so that we don't step on our own content and we can get the most value out of every piece of content we make. And I think I'll just compare something that people can look at in their own lives, which helps to illustrate this point. If you have a subscription to Netflix, for example, so yes, Netflix releases a lot of new stuff every month, but they do not release like 2 big blockbuster movies at the same time. They do not release 2 big blockbuster series at the same time. They let them gestate. They let them run for a while. Disney Plus, same way. They put out, one series, but now we have to wait for the next one. Mandalorian went, and then Boba Fett, and then Andor, one by one, with about a gap of sometimes a month or 2 in between them. So that's the way to fully monetize and to use the content that you've got. And I see one of the questions that's sitting here about how many films do we plan to release? What's our target for the future? What's our mix going to be in the long term? I think that answers that. We've put 7 movies into the cinema so far this year, and they're a mix of big movies and medium movies. We will probably not release that many in the second half, but who knows? We have them. If the climate looks right, we'll release more. You've seen probably, I think, 4 series online in the first half. We have many more than that already in production, and we're just deciding now when to release them. Are they going to be released in the second half, or are they going to release in the first half of next year? Wait and see.
Okay, sounds cool.
Just to add a few points on what Dave says, related to, the question was whether we will stick to the, film business or we'll go to the digital as well. I think Dave has very beautifully clarified, but just to add on, film has a limitation, what Dave was saying, right? And what we are doing is, MD Pictures, of course, there is a film business, and we will basically monetize with the volume, with the digitalization. And what digitalization has done to this MD, and which we can see from a performance as well, is you can basically digitalize and monetize a same content multiple times due to digitalization. That's what we are doing. So when you see average revenue per content that has increased drastically during a digitalization phase, whether it's a OTT content or it's going from Bioscope to the OTT, so all those things are basically making our balance sheet and P&L and everything performance very healthy, in short. So this mix will always continue to be there in the future for MD, because that is how it beautifully places the MD. Of course, the composition will change based on a situation when we want to release the movie in the digital, when we want to release a movie in the Bioscope, how to monetize the maximum from a content, because content is unique. Our whole strategy is to get the maximum money out of each content.
Okay, thank you, Anand, and also thank you, Dave, for the lovely answer. So I actually have a couple of questions in my mind, but before I take up too much of the questions, I just want to give it back to the audience. So we have actually one question here, which is quite interesting, actually. So the question is from Leonard. What is the update guidance for the full year in terms of growth for top line and bottom line? And I think this question is better be answered by Anand. So can you give us an update on your guidance for the top line and bottom line in this year?
See what there are a lot of reports coming out from an analyst. I think when we started a year, some analyst was giving like 250 million, some give 300. I think Farras came out with the highest one. When I told Farras, don't worry, I will beat that number. So I will just say that, you know, there are a lot of analyst report, but what I will tell you is this number, what you are seeing in the quarter, first half of the year does not even include Ivana, does not even include our, the overseas revenue of the Kakayan. So there are a lot of upside even going to come from the same content, and it does not contain even the new content that we are planning to release for the second half. So you can, of course, expect that, the Farras projection, I'll be beating that as well.
Yes, that is actually true. MD just beat our projections by 40%, I think. So yeah, that is actually remarkable. So yeah, thank you for the update, Anand. And also, So we have one more question from Leonard here. What is your long-term strategy for the next 3 years? So yeah, maybe you can answer. What is your long game strategy?
Yeah, so let me talk about it from a business perspective. I mean, I think our strategy for 2022 had been to continue our growth in OTT. And then the cinemas came back strong. So actually, we're already at what the strategy was for 2023, which is establish a mix between cinema and online content monetization. For the next few years, yes, of course, we want to continue that. But a media company is bigger than just making movies for cinema and TV for online. You can take large examples like Viacom or NBC Universal. There are many, many businesses that are in synchronization with a movie and TV business. So we are actively exploring those avenues. We intend to maintain what we're doing now, grow what we're doing now, maintain market share, at least in a market that is growing, which is growing very fast, by the way, and also expand into tertiary businesses that belong in media companies. I give you one example that we've spoken of before, which is expanding beyond Indonesia's borders. We have some phenomenal IP, and that IP doesn't necessarily work well in Germany, France, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil. However, not the way it is now. Indonesian stories don't work, but good stories do work. So prior to the pandemic, as I was over in Los Angeles at least once a quarter. Manoj is over there now, which is why he's not joining this call. He's been over in LA, I think 3 times in 2 months. We are re-engaging with producers, directors, script writers. We fully intend to reinvent MD IP for a global audience. It'll be a different movie, different show, but it's very similar to what The Ring and The Grudge have done with Japanese content. It's similar to how out of Korea you saw things like Squid Games that were now being watched around the world. Money Heist out of Spain has become a worldwide phenomenon. What we can't do is try to make Indonesian content that will play here and play there, because then it won't work in Indonesia. What we can do is take a story that is compelling with great characters and great story arcs and conflicts and triumphs and remake it for a US audience. So that's one small example of where we see that MD has a possibility of expanding into additional businesses that we're not in today.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Dave. Anand, do you want to add something to your end?
I think I will keep it very simple. I think our whole strategy is to continue entertaining our viewers, because that entertainment will convert into a number. I know that, by different mediums. Basically, it can be a big screen, it can be a small screen, whatever. But definitely, we are, as Dave say, we are looking into a different model where we can basically. We know our contents, we know the strength of our content, how to monetize it maximum by different strategies. I think we are also disclose about the right issue to the public. I think at one time we will come back with a whole plan, and once we put everything on a right place, and we'll come out with a full strategy and the plan and see what we are going to do next. But of course, we are trying to find out right strategy. Basically, we have few options in our hand. We are trying to find the right strategy in which we can provide a best return to shareholders. That is what we are doing.
And let me add one more point to that that I've noticed. I mean, I'm a customer of great content too. I subscribe to everybody, and I watch subscriptions from Paramount and HBO Max and Disney from overseas. I have Netflix accounts in the US. And it's really frustrating as a customer, because almost all of those companies do not have 100% ownership of their own IP. We do, which gives us tremendous flexibility in how to monetize it. Like right now, there are shows that I want to watch on Disney that are on Disney Plus in the US, but not yet Disney in Indonesia, and vice versa. Stuff on Netflix that you could watch here that you cannot watch in the US. It's all because of conflicting rights and conflicting distribution channels. One of the best things we have going for us as we're looking at how to expand and really take advantage of the great content that we make and the great stories that we tell is that we own 100% of everything we make.
Okay, thank you, Dave and Anand. So I see that in the Q&A, and also this is actually a quite popular question to ask actually regarding your rights issue. So I just noticed that you guys have announced that you're going to do a rights issue. Can you share to the audience and also to us what is your strategy? What strategy after the rights issue? Are you going to improve your monetization from the content that you just said? So we just want to know what is your long-term plan or long-term play for this rights issue.
Let me take it, Dave. Basically,
yeah,
the
please.
overall right issue is basically a maximum of 20% of our issued shares, which come down to around 1.9 billion shares, which we are looking. Of course, we will come out with a detailed plan to the OJK and the public shortly. We are looking into various business opportunities of acquisition, monetizing, how to basically generate more revenue and all those. Of course, when we think about a right issue, you have to think very simple. When you any company do a right issue because of two reasons. Either they have a cash problem, they will do a right issue, and at the time of a cash crunch, they can basically manage their position. Second situation of a right issue is when the company want to expand a business. Our situation is we want to expand a business. We are looking at opportunities in a digital world, because see, we can have a debate on how many subscriber people can have in the next 5 years, this, that. But one thing I think everybody realize and everybody will agree is it's going to be a digital world going forward. The digital world is going to stay. That everybody understands. So this gives us an ample opportunities to basically monetize a maximum out of our content, because we own the IP. We know how to generate and additional revenue from all this content. So that those are the business opportunities that we are looking into. We are looking into different strategic partners and all, which can basically, we can work together and basically increase and multiply the top line and bottom lines. Of course, you have to wait a bit to come where I can disclose, to the OJK, the overall plan and the amounts and everything. But definitely you can expect when we are doing a right issue, there is, we are basically trying to find the right opportunities for a company to grow and multiply.
Okay, thank you, Anand, for the wonderful answer. And also, I think due to time constraints, I'm going to ask one final questions for Dave and also Anand. So regarding KKN and maybe all your future, I think especially from the cinema works. We saw that Habibie and Ainun is actually being played in Disney and also in several OTT. So is KKN going in that trajectory, or in my point, are KKN is going? Can we watch KKN or all your future cinema movies in the OTT as well? And if so, how is this going to be reflected to the company's growth?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard business that every movie that we put into cinema, we then open up to the window of online. The window is 4 months after cinema release. It appears online. That's typical across the world. Some have a longer window, some have shorter windows. Like Top Gun Maverick has a really, really long window. It's not online yet because Tom Cruise wants to keep it in theaters. Other movies, Doctor Strange came to online very quickly. So everything goes through multiple windows. The first thing you'll see is one of our movies on a flight. It goes into the airlines first, and then it goes onto online. And you can sometimes you can buy the movies. Sometimes you can just rent them or in a subscription. And then they're usually exclusive for a period of time. KKN will be an exclusive movie on Disney Plus when it hits. And then after their exclusivity expires, we start licensing it everywhere. You brought up Habibie and Ainun. That movie has been licensed perhaps 25 times since it first came out. It's currently on 7 different platforms. So it's just the gift that keeps on giving. There's 2 things that happen when you have a big hit movie too. One is what you just described. We continue to license it forever, and it makes great margins when we've already completely depreciated the movie. So it's all going straight to profit after 4 years. And then secondly, it spawns a universe, a franchise. Habibie and Ainun, we've now released 3 movies in total. Danur, the horror movie, has been Danur 1, 2, 3, Aussie 1, 2, and now Ivana in the theaters, and it's another blockbuster, all from the same IP. Absolutely, you will hear more about KKN. This is not a single movie. We now have a huge strength with that to create, you can only imagine, more movies, series, animation, action figures. It just goes on and on. So that's our goal with every movie we release. We want to release more than a single movie, and find, as Anand had said, more and more ways to monetize what we've created. So you'll hear more of KKN, you'll hear more of Langang and Putus. You'll see more of these hits in different iterations as we go forward into the future.
Okay, thank you, Dave. From Anand, maybe you want to add a final remarks on that? I think for KKN, I think you will our audience will see the extended KKN extended by the end of this year, and of course that will convert into numbers. Maybe this year or early next year. That's all. I think they were pointed out all of them, so I don't want to add. Just to add that KKN extension will come by the end of this year. So go and watch.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Anand, and also thank you, Dave, for the wonderful Q&A. And with that question, I think I'm going to end the Q&A session right now. But before we close this wonderful session, maybe Dave or Anand, you can give your final remarks.
Well, I think Anand summarized it pretty well, which is we spend a lot of time, a lot of care, a lot of emotion, along with business expertise. But our business is entertainment. It's a fun business to be in. It strikes at the hearts of our customers, and it really it helps. We believe that we are contributing to the state of the country as well. And every new movie we put out, every new series that we put out, we attempt to step up the quality and in storytelling and technical. You will see that if you go see KKN and Ivana. We're using some of the latest technologies in motion pictures and really expanding the capabilities of Indonesia entertainment as a whole. If you look at the beginnings of the movie business for Indonesia, it was a lot of cheap movies with poor effects and quick hit and run profits. That's not our game. We're in this for the long haul, and we hope that we're raising the bar for all of the country. We appreciate the support of all of our investors. So when you invest in MD, you are investing in Indonesia and the growth of this country. Already, Indonesia is the fastest growing online video market in the world. That didn't happen by accident, and it could not have happened without companies like ourselves that are contributing to this kind of growth. We've only just begun. Across the world, other countries have been ahead of Indonesia with broadband growth, the drop in cost of broadband, in quality of productions. We are catching up. So your support is going towards that. We appreciate that for everybody that's on this call. And we hope that we, in turn, reward you for your support.
Okay, thank you, Dave. And Anand, maybe you want to give a final remark?
No, I think Dave has covered most of the point. I will just add that we are trying to we are trying to deliver based on our shareholders and stakeholders' expectations in 2022, and we'll continue with that going forward.
Okay, thank you, Anand, and also thank you, Dave, for the wonderful final remarks. And with that, we can conclude this earnings call to an end. And also, don't forget that for MD Pictures, actually, we from Samuel Sekuritas has issued an updated report with a target price of 3,300, and hopefully that our forecast can be beaten by MD in the next quarter, right? So yeah. And so thank you for all those participants who have joined this earnings call. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Instagram page, and also follow our Telegram, and also follow our Clubhouse, which we do a regular Clubhouse session with our technical analyst, Pak William Mahmudi.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And and also thank you for joining us in this wonderful afternoon, and hope that we will see you in the next event or the next earnings call. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for attending, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, William.
Thanks, William. Thanks, guys.